Welcome. I'm Sunny Goldberg, and we're so happy to have you at Know Your Neighbors. And I'm thrilled to be sitting here with Susan Riley, Director of the Mamaroneck Library, and Miss Christie Derrico, Village Justice and terrific rower, and Laura Eckely, the Director of the Larchmont Library. And we want to talk about One Book, One Community. Laura, tell us what it is.
So One Book, One Community is an event.
We did it last year.
We did it a year and a half ago. The book was I Am Malala. It was our first community-wide read. I have to give credit to Susan Riley, whose idea it was. She called me on the phone one day and said, what if we had an event where we got everyone in the entire township of Mamaroneck and the village of Larchmont involved in reading one book? And from there, we formed a committee. We got lots of organizations in both communities involved and got thousands of people to read I Am Malala at the same time.
Including high school students?
Including high school students.
Right.
High school was very involved. So on the heels of that success, we waited a year and a half, and the month of April will be our One Book, One Community read. And this year, we are reading The Boys in the Boat by Daniel James Brown. And I think Susan's going to talk a little bit more about the book.
Okay.
And I did want to say one thing. It wasn't just 1 year later. It was 1 year and many committee meetings later.
Many.
Because I know I went to those
yes,
committee meetings that we decided upon Boys in the Boat.
Right. You know, there are so many wonderful books that are published every year, so it was very, very difficult to narrow down. What we really wanted was something that would appeal to a broad readership through our communities. And what better tie-in to the Sound Shore than something that takes place on the water, really, really. So we did decide on The Boys in the Boat, and I picked up a copy of the book and I read it and I thought, oh my gosh, this is one of the best books I've ever read. And I immediately bought 6 copies for all my nieces and nephews and handed them out at Christmas time. And
she talked about that,
sort of thing. What a fabulous, fabulous book. If you're not familiar with The Boys in the Boat, and I know many people have already read it because it is a year and a half old, but if you're not familiar with it, it's really an exploration of a time period in Washington State in the 1930s when a young man who was very poor named Joe Rance starts going to the University of Washington, and what he wants to do is be on the crew team. Right. He really, really wants to do that because if he's on a sports team, he's eligible to work as a student worker and therefore can stay in school. He cannot do it any other way.
His
There's no
background
money.
Is oh my God.
He has a horrendous childhood. Poverty. This is just following the Great Depression and really during the time of the dust storms too, where the whole country is under really attack from the weather, the economy, and political divisiveness. So his team very, very slowly starts to coalesce. And the participants in this book are so colorful and so engaging that you can't help but fall in love with them. And in particular in the main character, Joe Rance, that this book is about.
Well, we have a particularly colorful, very attractive rower sitting here with us.
Yes.
Miss Christie, who I thank you very much for joining us. I want your legs and to look just like you, so I may take up rowing.
But anyone can row.
Anyone can. I like that comment that you made, that anyone can row. It doesn't, you know, it's not an expensive sport.
No. Well, it can be, but if you join a group.
And
actually, there is a tie to this area with the book, as you probably know.
Yes.
Travers Island is where the Olympic trials were held, and that's where Glen Island and Pelham Community Rowing rows out of. And I think of that when we row there. It's historic, the area. It's the perfect location to row.
Yeah. I did want to quote you though. You said it's a low injury sport, no contact. Anyone can do it, and you can learn at any age.
Yes.
So there's hope for us.
There is, and many of the people I've met at Pelham Community Rowing are parents of kids who picked up rowing, and they said, well, let me check this out. And I mean, they beat me many times, so it can be competitive. It's something like golf. You're always perfecting it, and you're competing against your own game as well as against teams and people around you.
And you mentioned that our own John Verney from the Village of got you into this.
Well, I rowed in college and hadn't done it for many years. And Rose,
hey,
John.
we have a picture. Where's that picture,
Oh,
Christy?
now,
Come on.
my-
you just kind of
My
flipped-
mother gets credit for this. So I rowed at Boston University, and I believe this is Weeks Bridge here.
Hold that up a little, yeah.
Which-
It may get a little.
So this is an
glare.
eight-man. Okay, you have a coxswain and then 8 rowers.
But when you say 8 men, it's 8 women.
8 women.
Okay.
Okay. You don't row co-ed unless you're rowing as a master's rower.
Got
In
it.
college, they're single-sex boats. Although your coxswain could be. I don't know if women would have a male coxswain, probably because of weight. That wouldn't
Yeah,
be
they have to be
possible. You're
little skinny.
the coxswain for a men's boat can weigh more for certain races than
Ah.
a female coxswain. So ours for a women's boat. So ours would always be women because they'd have to be lighter. In any event, and the coxswain in that boat was very important as well.
Right.
Everyone
Yes,
played.
excellent.
He was an excellent participant. So this is a famous bridge where this is the head of the Charles, and we won a gold medal when I was 19. And it was great. Actually, rowing is one of the few novice sports in college. So you don't have to have prior experience to do it. So you just have to have determination. And BU,
Boy,
yeah, BU
You
now
really
has,
have to. I mean, that what they went through
Yeah.
athletically. Come on, that's for on your body. It's a great deal of.
yes, it definitely, it's one of the most, rowers are one of the most physically fit athletes of sports, cardiovascularly, muscularly. Actually, our coach was from the Eastern Bloc. She was either Czech or Polish, Anna Considine, and I still think about those workouts to this day.
Yeah.
5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
She was mean,
Yeah.
but she was very, very good. And my rowing team were national champs.
So what are you going to
many
do for
years.
this whole April month of One Book, One Community? I know you've got an event.
I'm paying John Verney back for bringing me back into rowing, and my husband wants to pay John Verney back for making me wake him up with my alarm when I get up.
Must be so early.
So I said, John, we got to give them a demonstration. So we're going to swim in row in a double out of John's house. He has a little beach, and his kids are all rowers. They're all very
Yes.
tall. And so we're going to take the boat from his beach and row it into the harbor.
And then people will be able. You'll give a demonstration.
We can show how you take the oars out. I thought maybe they'd want to see us pick the boat up. What's surprising is the boats are big, but they're light.
Yes.
So we can lift them, and you want to be able to lift them. You often have to transport them. We have to break them down. So you have to do things that are
That
mechanical.
was one of the aspects in that book that was fascinating. How they
Right.
built the boat.
Yes.
And they kept tweaking it and making it lighter and faster.
Well, they were talking about this master builder
Right.
called George Pocock, and
I'm
he
impressed you can remember. That's yeah, got it. You go.
George Pocock.
He was great.
He was absolutely phenomenal, and he experimented with different types of wood and different types of fastening, whether with glues or with nails
Yeah,
and
so-
everything.
yeah,
And
really.
how are boats constructed differently now?
So this is a very interesting topic. So there are many different makers of boats, but Vespoli is in Connecticut, and they would be one of the top producers. But Wintech, who sponsor Row America out of Rye, are a new philosophy. Those are the Winklevoss, help
Oh,
my
yeah,
pronunciation,
yes,
Harvard
yes,
twins.
Yes.
Who were with.
That's the Wintech,
right.
and they are composite boats made out of, I think, China, somewhere in Asia. So you can take them apart in pieces. Now, a Vespoli is one single hull, so it's really long if you've ever seen them. But the Wintech boats that I've rowed out of Row America stay outside all winter long, don't rust, and they're amazing boats also. It's just a different philosophy, a different technology. They're always tweaking it, making them faster. They're fiberglass, I would assume, at this point, and they're very
Right.
light and very fast.
Well, one of the things that we're offering as a program throughout this whole month
Yeah.
of events surrounding the Boys in the Boat.
And in case
is we
they
have-
haven't seen it, sitting right up there is a list.
Yes, we have tours of the Derrico shipbuilding facility. Now this is really exciting. I mean, how many times do you get to go in and see a facility that built the Spirit of America.
That's right in Mamaroneck,
It's
on the
right in
Boston
America.
Post Road.
Yes, and it's next to the Nautilus Diner, is that right?
No,
the
it's
Ma-
next to the Mamaroneck Diner.
The Mamaroneck Diner, I'm sorry,
But
you're
that's
right.
okay, we love
Right.
both of them. Nautilus is a wonderful supporter of
Yes,
the community.
yes. So there is a very strict limit of numbers of people who can attend. So if you're interested in doing that, please sign up in advance. And there are lots of, we have these wonderful flyers, event flyers, that will tell you about all the different events that
You
are
can
happening.
get those at the
You can get them at the
Mamaroneck
Larchmont Library and at the Mamaroneck Library. And we're going to have them around town at various locations as well.
And it's online. All of the events are on both of our websites.
Website
yeah.
is?
The website is www.larchmontlibrary.org.
And www.mamaronecklibrary.org.
And if you're signed up to receive either of our e-newsletters,
they
you'll
send
get
them out.
a
That's
special
great.
event
Yes.
guide as well.
Yes.
One of the other events that we're having at the Larchmont Library, and as you know, we're under renovation right now, so
Yes.
our ability to have events at the library is very limited. The next
But we're so looking forward to.
so looking forward to reopening our new beautiful library this summer. The next time we do this, we'll be able to host our fair share of events.
Okay.
But one event that we are able to have is a rowing demonstration on actual rowing machines.
Oh, neat.
And we have some Masters champion rowers that are coming in with their coach.
When are you doing that?
That event is on Thursday, April 21st at 6:30 p.m.
So they'll be
at the
in
Larchmont
the
Library,
li-
and they
in
will
the
have
lobby.
machines, and we'll be showing people how to use them and also giving people an opportunity to try them out. But I wanted to ask Christie, she was telling us a little bit before the program, what the difference is between rowing in an actual boat and using a rowing machine.
I use the rowing machine at my gym, and it's a good workout. It's, but I know it's very, very different. I mean, certainly I'm not exhausted after 20 minutes of doing this, whereas rowing in a
should be.
real
Susan, I'm going to have to come with you. I can make you
doing it right.
exhausted after 20 minutes.
I bet you could.
We use the ergs to work on form, and you can break down every aspect of the stroke, and that's usually how we warm up, where we just use our legs, and then we just used our back, and then we add the arms. But it's definitely used as a training tool, not just for cardiovascular, but for coaches to work on aspects of your stroke, because you can be an excellent athlete. Let's say you were a really fast runner, so you would be a good candidate to be a rower. If you can't have a clean, perfect stroke that works with everyone in the boat, you're not going to be in that boat.
Right.
So it's interesting that rowing has a grace to it. My coach used to
Oh, it's
say,
beautiful.
Oh
Yeah.
It's
my God,
beautiful to
yes.
watch.
It is. How about
Yeah.
your back?
well, that's why your stroke has to be, if your back is hurting, you're doing something wrong. You're
Okay.
opening too early and you're using your back. Your legs are the strongest part of your body. You're supposed to use that the most. These are supposed to be huge, and you should maximize your legs. But my coach had a saying in college, make it look easy. So if you looked cockeyed or were looking like you're pulling really hard, she said you were doing it wrong.
Wow.
And she was an Olympic rower that supported her whole family off
what
that.
what this sport really
Yes.
is teamwork. It is
Yes.
an amazing responsibility. I mean, you're looking at the person in front of you, they're looking, and the coxswain is calling out. Right, and it has to really be in unison.
Yes, you have to each hold your oar at the same level, so the boat is set, they call it.
They're only 24 inches wide, is that correct?
Well, let's look at our hips. Because if you were,
Let's look at yours.
if you are stuck
don't
in
say we
the
did.
two extremes of the boat, like
Right.
if you're what's called the bow bunny, I mean that's what we call it as women.
Okay.
Your hips might be hitting. The
I
sides.
want to get to a couple of other events because they're so
Right,
thrilling and
right. We
exciting.
have so many.
Oh, we have so many. A couple of very special is the gold medalist.
Yes.
You want to talk about?
Sure. So our sort of kickoff event is Friday, April 8th at 5:30 p.m. at the Larchmont Yacht Club. You have to register for this event because it's in the junior clubhouse, so our space is somewhat limited.
It's Esther.
It's Esther Lofgren, who is an Olympic gold medalist from 2012. She's actually coming to speak to the Mamaroneck High School
Which is
during the day.
Great. At the
It's
gym,
fabulous.
right?
It's during the afternoon gym program. She will be speaking to three times to all the different gym classes that are cycling through in the afternoon. It's co-sponsored by the Mamaroneck High School as well as the Larchmont and Mamaroneck Libraries. So that's an event that's happening at the high school. It's not open to the public, but it's our way of including our high school in this
Terrific.
program. But that evening, you can come to the Larchmont Yacht Club.
An adult.
And as an adult, or if you
with
have
the
a teen that does not attend Mamaroneck High School that's interested in
And
hearing
there's an
about it.
informal discussion right there.
Well, from 5:30 to 6, we have a reception. It's a cash bar, but we have some refreshments. And at 6 p.m., she's presenting the same program that she is
That's
presenting to the high school.
Well, I'm glad you said cash bar. It leads me to, we have some wonderful sponsors of this event who have been unbelievable. I know the Larchmont Library.
The Friends of the Larchmont Public Library.
Friends
The
of
Friends of the Mamaroneck Library as well.
We couldn't do it without them.
Absolutely not. And then there are the other organizations that are represented. The Summit is another group.
glad you
Paul
mentioned that.
Director, of course,
Right.
has been so gracious in opening his facility to us. And there are many, many others, as well as, of course, our wonderful committee
Right.
that pulled all this together through meeting after meeting after meeting by tossing out ideas and pulling things together.
Also,
So-
Jeff and Paul, we should mention,
Right.
Yes.
We
who
have a
made these
wonderful
wonderful, I mean,
support
this is
staff
fabulous.
at
These
our
are-
libraries.
We've got a great logo now. It's fabulous.
Yeah, it's
We have
lovely.
a nice new logo. I think one of the things that it's important to highlight is that we did, the three of us and the other members of our committee, spend months talking about different books and different titles that we might use for one book, one
And a
community.
different hook or aspect,
Exactly.
i.e. the summit is going to talk about underprivileged
Right.
youngsters who can get into this event and possibly win scholarships from sports, etc.
And the Rotary Club is talking about the athletic department. They're talking with the athletic departments
Right.
and
We
how
have,
important teamwork is.
The athletic directors from Rhinebeck, from Larchmont, and from Mamaroneck and Harrison, I should say, who are going to be talking about basically how participation in sports really develops leadership in students. You know, I mean, it's very
Hey, look
hard
what happened
to
with
pinpoint.
Christie. She came back to be the
There you
village
go.
justice.
There you go.
I mean,
Well,
Right,
come
right.
on.
I think what the book talks about that's important is they did come from, I think universally, except for a few
Yes.
exceptions, underprivileged backgrounds, real poverty, and there isn't any gear. You get a nice pair of sneakers if the school
Right,
provides the boats.
Determination is
and
hard
determination.
work.
But many schools even have club teams. It's important for kids to feel like they have a group of friends and something that they're part of, and I think that that's what rowing offers, whether you're at the club level or at different degrees of.
Another aspect that we didn't mention is LMC-TV will run on their calendar. It continually runs all of these events.
And we want to thank LMC-TV for this.
They're-
We have a tremendous number of programs, all surrounding topics that we explore in this book. Some of the things that we have is we have a photography exhibit of Olympic moments at the Mamaroneck Library. Our first book discussion group is going to be on March 21st. So that's the only one that lies outside of our April month of rowing or crew.
And where's that, Ms. Susan?
And that's going to be at the
At the
Mamaroneck
library.
Library.
Great.
And then there's another one on April 4th at
Yes.
the Larchmont Library. Is
who
that going
run-
to be
who
at the
run-
library?
That's
or is
going
it
to be at the library.
Okay.
It's run by Catherine Walt, who's a programmer who's run other book groups for us in the past.
And does Lori run the?
Lori and I are going to be doing another one at the Mamaroneck Library on the 20th.
So you have some guidance.
So-
We've encouraged book groups in the community to read this book, but not everyone is part of a book group, and they
Right.
would
That's right.
like to be able to participate in a book group type discussion, which is why we're having these
Terrific.
special programs that are open to the public to come and talk about them.
more.
Go ahead.
Okay, but our big keynote
Yeah,
program
that's
for the whole series of events is our Olympic panel presentation. And we have been so lucky through Sunny's connection and some other
Catherine
people,
Parker.
Catherine Parker, to have attracted the interest of Jimmy Roberts, the NBC sports commentator, who is going to be moderating a panel made up of Olympic athlete Christina how do you say her last name? Teucher, Rick Carey and Raul Rodriguez, as well as their coach John Collins from the Badger Swim Club. These are local celebrities, folks. I cannot wait for this
Olympians,
presentation.
the
Yeah.
fact that they're coming and they're doing this is a volunteer situation, and Jimmy who
Yes.
is, Catherine said, just
He's wonderful.
wonderful. I mean, watching him is a delight.
Yeah.
So, and also we will be taping this, by LMC-TV will be as well. So, and that's in the library at the
That's
community
right.
room?
It's in the community room on April 16th, which is a Saturday, and it's going to start at 2 o'clock. We also have a teen program that our teen librarians have worked together to put in, and that's a book discussion and also a presentation by a local athlete called Sandy Killen, who is, he is an Olympic judge, basically. So, you know, I mean, he's really wonderful.
Am I correct that there is another boys in the boat that is just for maybe a adolescent?
Yes.
Yes.
There's a teen version of The Boys in the
Okay.
Boat. You can also get it on audiobook. You can take it out physically, or you can download it from either of our libraries to listen to.
Great.
So there's lots of different ways. If you're not interested in reading the full version of the book, you could read the teen version, or you could listen to it on audiobook.
And there's one event we got to talk about, the films.
We need to, before we finish up.
We're going
We're
so
going
fast.
to have an Olympic film marathon. And basically what it's going to be is starting on April 27th at 10 o'clock, when the library opens, we're going to be starting rolling films about the Olympic experience. And at 6 p.m., the last film of the day is The Triumph of the Will, which features very strongly in the book because the book takes place, it culminates at the Berlin Olympics in 1936, when this ragtag team of boys, or men, I should say,
just the people that Hitler really didn't like, right?
they go against Hitler's rowing team, which was heavily, heavily favored to win. And of course, you know, they blow them out of the water.
And they did all kinds of things to try not to let them.
Oh,
They really did
absolutely.
some obnoxious. They put them on in the worst lane, and
Yep.
and this is before they found out there
Substandard
was
housing and,
exactly.
you know.
It was before they found out there was a Jewish guy on that
That's right.
team.
That's right.
Who
Yeah.
just found out
Yeah.
about his
Yes.
heritage.
And we were
going.
very, very fortunate to have Dr. Michael DeGennaro
Right.
is going to lead a discussion about the Triumph of the Will following the film.
One of my daughter's favorite teachers, and everybody's probably,
Yes.
and he is so good at this. He did a wonderful thing at the high school with Ong Lee, where he talked, and he's just great at this. So that was a wonderful gift.
Yes.
And he will be there throughout?
He will be there for the last
Oh,
film
for the
of the
film,
day
well,
at 6 o'clock. But the other films are,
Triumph of Will.
of course, Chariots of Fire.
That's
You
great
know, how can
movie.
you not do Chariots of Fire? Without Limits, Rowing Through, Going for Gold, and culminating with the Triumph of the Will.
Wonderful.
So all movies that demonstrate the Olympic experience.
No, we've actually talked about a lot of things, which is going to mix a lot of people up. But we want you to know that for our community, One Book, One Community is a very exciting thing. And indeed, you, Susan, have talked about maybe even incorporating other communities. And we would invite anybody from any place. It's our community, but we're so proud to share with everybody.
We do hope that our next One Book, One Community will extend to include other libraries in the Sound Shore. We've spoken with our fellow directors, and many of them are interested in,
So here's the new
widening
name.
this.
It's going to be
widening this a
One
little
Book,
bit.
Many Communities.
One Book, One Sound Shore.
That might be. That might be.
Just maybe.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, and
I
we'll
like it
probably
too.
start talking about what book we might focus on in a year to a year and a half over the summer. So get ready. We've
After
got
we
lots of reading.
decompress.
Right, we got
Lots of reading
but
to do.
the main thing is everybody should get Boys in the Boat
Yes.
and start on it now because it's a wonderful read. We did it for our book club, and it was a wonderful discussion. We adored it. And what I'd like to, we only have 5 minutes left, so I really want to go around. We always forget something. I think we've done great so far. And we will have all of this information available at the libraries, on LMC-TV, at places like Mozart and the village of Mamaroneck at the Regatta. We're going to try to get the information out. But I'm going to start with you, Susan. Anything we forgot?
You know, this was such an outstanding book. There's so many great books that are out. It was very, very hard to narrow down to this
Right.
book. But looking ahead, we're hoping maybe to find a book possibly by an author who resides on the Sound Shore for
A local
another
author.
down the road. I think that would be wonderful.
I agree.
How about you, Miss Christie?
What I loved about this book was aspects about the World War II era that I didn't know.
Yes.
The woman who was hired by Hitler to make the films.
Oh, right.
Leni Riefenstahl.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
And
the
her
propaganda.
disagreements with
Goebbels.
Goebbels,
Yes.
which, that lovely fellow, right?
But we've all seen that footage, and I was a history major, but mostly colonial American history, so just a little bit of World War II, but imagine that, having her.
But when the book talks about the World War II
Right.
sorts of
Definitely.
experiences and the rise of Hitler, this is not boring academia.
No.
This is exciting, like edge of your seat, can't wait to turn the pages sort
And
of
we
stuff.
actually, I got online and saw the newsreel where they march in,
did you?
and you
Yeah.
can do that. Everybody I suggested, but your event, rain or shine, Christie?
Oh, yes. I've discussed this with John. If it's really bad rain, we could maybe coordinate it with another event, but we do row in the rain.
Okay, great. So if it's even a little sprinkly, they'll still.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Yes,
We
we
look
get
forward
wet.
to that.
We're used to it.
And how about you?
I just want to reiterate that if you haven't read the book yet, it's not too late. There are copies on our book group shelves at both libraries right now, available, waiting for people to come in and pick it up and read. And that when you do come in, make sure you pick up a copy of the event guide. There is something for everyone.
Oh,
Yes.
Just a wide variety of programs throughout the whole month, and there's something that will appeal to everyone. And I think after you read the book, you'll really want to come to one of these events and talk
Is it
about
being
it.
made into a movie?
It is.
So
It
you got to
is.
read
Right.
the book before
Yeah,
you
oh,
see
yeah,
the
I
movie.
think
That's
that's
coming
we-
out this summer.
We
so-
actually
Yes.
discussed that.
Yes.
We were, as the committee, we were afraid, is it too popular? Is it something that we still want to encourage? Has everybody read it? Well, I reread it, and it's very different rereading it. And I can visualize now the guys marching in, because as I said, I saw the newsreel, and it's a terrific read.
Sunny, I'm glad that you mentioned rereading it because we actually did. There is something we forgot. The librarians at both of our libraries created an additional reading guide in case you already read it or your book group already read it. If you wanted to read another book that is in some way related or similar, we have a whole list of books that could appeal to people that have already read the book but want to read something like it.
That's a really great thing to do. I mean, really, and the discussions, at least we found, were fascinating. Just what you said about World War II, all of these things. But the beginning of the book, he is alive, and our author goes and meets him and talks with him. And I get chills when I think about it.
I liked how the squirrel stole the gold medal.
Oh, yes.
I thought
And
that
hid
was
it,
really, and
yes,
hid it,
and
and then they
hid it,
found
yeah.
it
They
later.
found
That
it
was
all.
charming.
Yes.
Wasn't that
Yes.
neat?
It was.
I mean, really, just it's a real.
So that's where all those things have gone. It must have been a squirrel who stole
Right,
it.
we've got a lot of missing things,
Yes.
and an attic that we can't quite crawl into our Victoria.
Yes.
But,
Just the whole thing was charming in that he got to tell his story.
I cannot thank you, ladies, enough for coming and sitting
Thank
down
you.
and talking to us today. And if for any reason you're mixed up and you think you don't know our events, I promise you LMC-TV will be running it. You can get this information and promise that you'll try and read the book. It is fabulous. Nonfiction really happened, and it is so well written. So thank you for watching, and until next time, this is Sunny Goldberg saying bye-bye. Happy reading.